Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for your patience. We're working through some Zoom difficulties at the moment, but right now we have 2 out of the 3. Ben's working on getting Debbie. But as we're getting started, we want to get you guys some value for the next 45 or 60 minutes. And part of the conversation that Ben, Debbie, and I wanted to have is how to crush it in 2025. We all know that this market's been challenging over the recent couple of years. I think we can all attest to that, right? And at the same time, we have 2 options: either crush it in our goals in real estate or not crush it. So when Ben and Debbie and I talked about this, we said it'd be awesome to have a conversation around what we're doing in our worlds individually and collectively to help our partners and ourselves crush it in 2025. So for the basis of that conversation, that's what we're going to discuss. And for those that I've never talked to before, my name is Fred Said. I run a team in Southern California. Been selling for 20 years. I actively sell about 30, 35 homes a year. Run a team that sells about 250 units, about 165 million. And obviously a lot of you know who Mr. Ben Kinney is. So we're ready to rock and roll. I know we're waiting for Debbie to jump on hopefully soon, but one of the things, we'll roll with it. So one of the things, Ben, that Debbie and you talked about was, the market's been shifting and changing. You and I have talked recently about what we're doing with our teams to ensure that even through a market shift and tariffs and the mindset of human beings and agents out there in the world, what can we control that when we control it and we do it the right way, we can ensure that we're going to have success, we're going to sell homes, and we're going to fund the life that we want to live. So that's a basis of the dialogue. So you and I have talked a lot, but I would love to hear what you have to say about this before I jump into it with the people that are watching right now.
I was having a conversation yesterday, Fred, with another one of my business partners, and we're talking to our agents, and we're talking about success. And we know it's been a hard market, but I also know there's a lot of people out there that are winning at a really, really high level. So what's the difference? Is it the market that determines our success? Is it us? Well, in many ways, it's actually a combination. But if you had to go down to the bare minimum philosophy on what would change all of our worlds the most, I would go back to one of my favorite topics, Fred, which is compound interest. Mm-hmm. Compound interest, we think of it as like a financial term of how does our retirement account grow and grow and grow. I like to share the amount of money that we'd all have to invest every single month in order to be worth $1 million in 30 years when we retire. Because the number's so small that it makes an impact. If you had to invest the same amount every month for 30 years, all you would have to invest is $257 per month, every month, to be worth $1 million in 30 years. Yep. I grew up pretty poor, not with a lot of stuff. But I was surrounded by parents and family and neighbors and friends that I'm sure wasted more than $257 a month on my family, drugs, alcohol, whatever it might have been during that time. There's my girl right there. And over time, I've realized that the secret to being wealthy and the secret to being successful is small little deposits made consistently over long periods of time. Yeah. In fact, we often underestimate what it would take to have some massive impact. So let's talk about financials for a second. I did some math. I wanted to figure out what would somebody have to do to have a net worth of $20 million in 30 years. The answer to that, Fred, was pretty simple. It was they'd have to invest $100,000 this year, next year, and for 10 years total. And at the end of 30 years, their net worth would exceed $20 million, probably closer to $22 million. And all they'd have to do is invest that money into S&P 500 or one of the kind of major index funds. Mm-hmm. But you don't think of investing $100,000 as the path to get to $20 million. But just like that, in our success as real estate agents, it's the same little things. It's little tiny activities. The compounding effect of how many open houses we do, or how many calls we make, or Debbie, how many doors that you knocked when you were building your business. It's little tiny things, the number of conversations. There's a guy in Minnesota, his name is Ryan Hansen, friend of friend of ours. And Ryan will sell 180 to 200 and something homes every year himself, where he's the primary agent. And then his team does another 100 or 200 homes. But I was in a car driving around and with Ryan, and I said, "What do you think's led to you being one of the most productive agents I've ever met in my life?" Because as like an individual agent, not a team, Ryan sells as many homes as about anybody I've ever met in my
Me
in my
too.
life.
Me too.
And he said, he gave me a bunch of BS answers first, like, "Oh, it's my reputation. I'm kind to people." And like all those things are 100% true and about him and in the world. But then I finally got the real answer out of him. He said, "I set a goal to have a minimum of 17 amazing conversations every single day that I considered it a work day." Think of that. Like, think if you boiled your success down, regardless of the market, and you said, "My success is actually having 17 amazing conversations every single day about real estate." And that's it. And you would end up having as much success as you could ever handle. Anyway, everybody, I want to introduce Debbie Grote, who's my business partner at Forward Coaching, one of my dear close friends, and also my very first coach. She was the one that helped me pull my head out of my lower extremities and get back on track. And she still does to this day. So Deb, anyway, thanks for joining us. We all kind of had a webinar issue today.
Well, yeah, I was there. I could see you all, but they had me in the backstage. I've never been in the backstage of Zoom before. So, Ben, as you were saying that, I thought of a few things. Number one, this is weirdly a rather simple business for as hard as it is to do. You know what I mean by that? Because sometimes, Fred, you see it, people overcomplicate when, as Ben said, if you just break it down to,
Right.
17 conversations for Ryan, but all of us travel around the country and meet with groups of agents. And I have something that I often ask them, which is how many purposeful outbound conversations, doesn't have to be a stranger, but really seeking a new business opportunity. How many do they have per day? And guys, what the common answer is? 3 per week.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
3 per week. So if you think about that, you can see why are sometimes, great agents who would be amazing if they got to the table, but they're just not getting to the table. And Ben, you and I did a session a few months ago, and we were talking about motivation and kind of the BS behind motivation. I would love to hear you share your thoughts on that. And then Fred, I would love to hear you share what you have your agents doing right now, your contest, your challenge, just in case some of the audience would like to participate in that as well.
Cool.
Love the first question, Deb. It reminds me of that Zig Ziglar story where somebody walks up to Zig Ziglar and says, "Hey, Zig, I appreciate all the things you taught today, but there's a problem with all your motivational crap." And Zig looked at him and said, "Well, what's that?" And he said, "It doesn't last." And Zig says, "Well, neither do showers." That's why
Take one every day.
if you determine your success by how motivated you are, you're going to have to go every single day searching in the bucket of motivation. And that becomes exhausting. What stops you from having to do that is have a purpose. Because purpose will trump motivation every single day of the week, so long as you have a reason to get up and a reason to show up. For me, it's always been about other people, not about me buying something or having something or achieving some award. That kind of dwindles on its effect on me. But when I make a promise to somebody, I tend to show up. when I know if I don't show up, I'm going to let somebody down, be it my clients or my staff or an agent or my friend or my coach. We all need somebody in life that if we don't show up, we let down, because it's that single experience for a good human that pushes you to live up to a potential that maybe you haven't even considered as possible.
And I think we often think that others who achieve more, like we might think, well, Ryan never has a bad day, but we all do, and that's why it's called work, not vacation. But Ben, I really feel that purpose, and it may change. The purpose today may not be your purpose next year, but that's the thing that makes you do what's hard to do. Right. And Fred, speaking of what's hard to do, so tell them about the contest. Tell them what you have your agents doing. And Ben, obviously, you have many teams across the country, the Place organization. I mean, we've got thousands of people participating in this contest right now. So Fred, just in case they would like to join, and do it on their own, tell them about it. Tell them what you're doing.
Yeah, so we're doing a nationwide contest here within Place and our teams and our partnership, and there's about 3,000 of us that are participating at the moment. And the goal of a challenge is we've tested it, Ben's tested it, we've tested it. We go 75 days. And it's very strategic, and it's the right way to do it. So it's a combination of doing 50 open houses or more, 5,000 dials or more, and 50% of those dials, which is 2,500, should be inside of Brivity, our CRM, doing lead follow-up. The other 2,500 could be in an outbound dial or cold calling, right? We want to add 50 leads in our system that we generate from referrals from friends and family, outbound calls, open houses, more organic leads rather than buying leads and putting them in. We want to sign 5 listing agreements and make sure they go live on the market during that time. We want to sign 10 contracts, which is a combination of buyer broker agreements and listing agreements during that time. And we've tested this, and we realized that by us being focused and doing a synergistic challenge with whether my local team of 25 people or a national team of 3,000 to 8,000 people, depending on what it is, we get the movement going and we create the market that we want. And the reason I love this one that started April 15th and it ends June 30th is there's no better time in a calendar year, at least in SoCal, and I know across the nation, it's spring and summer. The market's actually giving us a bump of activity while we're doing the challenge simultaneously, and then we're creating a compound. Yes, we'll get pendings and listings right now. I'm more stoked about the third quarter, honestly. I'm more stoked about the momentum and the pipeline going there. So the best 2 quarters of the year, which is Q2 and Q3 historically, we're creating the momentum that we're not relying on the market to give us business. We're going after it at that time. I got 15 people in this office right now that are doing what's called an inventory creation day right now on the first of the month. And we're going after homeowners, creating urgency so they can list homes now rather than wait 6 or 12 months to get their property sold.
Yeah, Dean, he's asking, and I was just going to ask this question, Fred.
Yeah.
Maybe you can type in those categories.
Yeah, go right now.
Chat box, just in case we have the few, the proud, and the brave here today that will actually go out and take action. And I feel like it's one of those things where, as you fill your pipeline, doing these awesome activities, you're going to feel this is the time to have a good hangover. You're going to feel the hangover of this, as Fred said, for the next several months. The other thing that I would love to mention to all of you too is that, sometimes as you're making these outbound outreaches and having these conversations, we sometimes forget to go back and dig into that lead pipeline. And, Fred, I read something the other day, an MIT study that said the average lead takes 6 to 12 attempts to convert. But the average salesperson does not call 50% of their leads. Of the 50% that they do, they only contact them 2 to 3 times.
Yep.
But just think about that, guys. If the conversion is at 6 to 12 attempts, right? And we're stopping at 2 to 3, and it can often be as long as 6 to 18 months. So some of those people that all of you potentially met at open house 6, 8 months ago, maybe talked to on the phone 4 or 5 months ago, and you're like, hey, they just aren't ready. They're not that motivated. And now they may be. So, Fred, I have everyone right now at Forward focusing on digging into that lead pipeline and really looking to rejuvenate that and really identify who are the quality leads. Because 70% of the business they need may actually be already sitting in their pipeline.
Can I share one thing that I did yesterday?
Sure.
I taught a class. We're having Debbie and I are doing an event in Southern California called $1 Billion Masterminds coming up in 2 weeks. And I taught a class leading up to it with about 35 agents in the room, experienced, new, etc. And we talked about the exact same statistics of how many times you have to call a prospect to get a hold of them to then set an appointment. And I called it ferocious follow-up. And I told them it's 6 to 12 times in a short amount of time. Like you generate an open house lead on a Sunday, you should expect to call them 5 or 12 times in the first 7 or 10 days, not the first year. And they thought I was crazy. I said, no. I said, how many people have called, like people on the webinar now, how many spam calls have you received since Monday morning? I would say 7 to 15. So I told the audience yesterday, and they were flabbergasted, but then they got it. Light bulb went off. I said, what makes your caller ID number so special that a consumer has to call you back amongst the other 30? When you call them 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 12 times, they will call you back, and then you can shine and you can convert. But that's the only way in 2025 to crush it. There's no other way. To call once and twice and then say the lead sucks? No, you suck for not calling enough times. That's the truth.
I was,
It was interesting. I was writing. Oh, Ben, go right ahead.
I was playing with a mortgage application process today online just to test out some places, and I applied for a refinance, like a soft pull refinance, and I received 1 text message and 4 phone calls within the first 10 minutes of my application. Like they aren't messing around. One of the things I found that worked really well for me is when I was calling somebody and they didn't answer, I would immediately send them a text with my contact card or with a video telling them that I was a real person. I would just put up my phone and say, hey, this is Ben. I saw that you registered on one of my websites. I wanted to send you this quick video to let you know that I'm a real person. I'll be reaching out to you today. I'm looking forward to having a real great conversation with you when you have time. I'm also going to text you my contact card so you know it's me the next time I reach out. Talk to you soon. Like it's that kind of simple of an experience for us to like just get that one extra answer that day. But let's go back to the contest real quick, because if I was thinking about things that changed the culture of our company last year, it was the contest. I was on a call like this. We had a couple thousand real estate agents on the call, and one agent was in chat, and he was a little bit like Eeyore. You guys know Eeyore? He says, Eeyore says, I lost my tail again today, you know? So this guy had lost his tail for sure, and there was no way to get out of his funk. And he kept saying, like, I want to be successful, but I'm struggling. He's typing into chat. And I was like, dude, you just got to do something about it. You got to show up. He's like, I don't know what to do, but I'm willing to do it. I'm like, and out of nowhere, I said, tell you what, do 30 open houses in 30 days. If you do that, you can come over to my house. We'll spend some time together, and I'll spend a day, not just you, anybody on this call today that does 30 open houses in the next 30 days, you can come spend a day with me. I thought I'd have like 5 or 6 people we could sit around my kitchen table. We had 144 people do 30 open houses in 30 days.
Remember that.
At the event when we hung out with everybody, Fred, this guy came up and said, you know, I've been in the business for probably 10 years, and I don't know what happened the last year or so, but I've been in a funk. I hadn't closed anything in 4 or 5 months. And I said, well, what's happening now? He says, I have 8 pending or closed.
Incredible.
The other person walked up and said, hey, I was brand new in real estate. I've been trying it for 3 to 6 months. I had no closings. I was looking for a job, and I decided, screw it, I'm going to do the challenge. I said, well, what happened? He's like, I have 4 pending and closed. It's just like story after story. And we tend to complicate how hard real estate is. Man, all we just did was let's go do 30 open houses in 30 days. Mm-hmm. Well, the next challenge, we said, well, some people don't want to do open houses, but there's other ways to be successful. Why don't we have them have a lot of amazing conversations? Okay. Why don't we do 50 open houses in 2 months or do 5,000 dials? Well, same thing happened, Fred. We did it in the month of July and August, the busiest month of the year with family vacations and life and real estate and everything else. But we had 474 people completed and show up to my next event. The next time we did it, we said, either do 50 open houses, 5,000 dials, get 10 written agreements because I wanted everybody to get used to getting buyer agency agreements, take 5 listings, or add 50 people to your CRM that you didn't know that wasn't from a lead source. And I said, by the way, if you do all 5, you get a special prize. If you do 4 of the 5, you get an even bigger prize. And if you do 2, you get to come and hang out with me next time. Time after time, the amount of people that completed it continued to get bigger. And the people that did the first one did the second one. The people that did the second one did the third one. And you just started seeing that, like, this is a culture of people that wanted to hang out with other winners.
Yeah.
Winners is created by activity, not results. Results come later from the activity. Sorry, Deb, you were saying something.
No,
Awesome.
no, it's great. It's perfect. Fred, quick question. 5,000 dials. So let's say they were going to do 5,000 dials in May and June. Like roughly, how many hours a day does that take the people on your team to do?
I mean, if you think about, it's a great question. If you think about it, the way that we're doing it, we're doing $2,500 in our CRM, which is Brivity. That's lead follow-up, past clients, friend, old leads, pond, etc. The other 2,500 is through Mojo, Dialer, etc. cold calling. So if you think about that, right, 2,500 dials in 60 days or 75 days, that's 50 dials a day. If you're doing 60 days times 50, that's 3,000, right? So if you do 50 dials a day in your CRM in Brivity and you're doing lead follow-up using the Brivity dialer, I mean, that's literally what, Ben, 45 to 70 minutes, if that, right? And if you're using a third-party dialer like a triple line dialer, etc., I mean, to do 50 dials there, it's like 5 minutes. Right? So it depends. So in all honesty, you can knock out 100 dials a day, outbound and lead follow-up. And realistically, when you want quality conversations, you want to budget 90 to probably 150 minutes a day. And that's not 7 days a week. That's just Monday through Friday.
So if we think about that, so let's call it even 3 hours a day, right? By the time you prep, make your dials, do your follow-ups.
Yeah.
But see, Ben, you know what I was going to say is that is the real job. Like I hear all the time people say to me, you know, I'm really good if I could just get to the table. I hear it every day, but they forget that the piece that's hard, it is showing up and doing the work to get in front of people, whether it's eye to eye or ear to ear. And of course, guys, as Fred's talking about, you know, the Brivity dialer, Brivity is a CRM that is amazing that Ben built. And inside of that, the numbers are scrubbed for the do not call, because obviously we have to be very
100%
and careful about our outbound dials. However, there are no rules around knocking on doors, right? You can go out and knock doors and maybe a combination, because it's great. I always found I like to do my dials in the morning, my doors in the afternoon, because it was great to have that little bit of variety, right? So Ben often says you're going to have pain. Right, Ben? It's either the pain of doing what's hard or the pain of not having what you deserve. So I guess what we're saying, Fred, is choose your pain.
Debbie, you and I are young feeling, but we are old enough that when we grew up, there was merry-go-rounds. Now kids don't get married. Hey, if
And
you're
your
watching this
daughters.
right now, if you had a merry-go-round experience and it's that point in your life, if you've been on one, just go into chat and just say me or say I was there. Just do me. I just want to see the demographic of people on the call real quick. Okay. How many of you fell off and broke something, or you're like, it was bad? Okay.
Yeah.
The merry-go-round is a lot like real estate. When you got all three of us on there, and I'm the one pushing to get us spinning, right? It's hard when you get started. It's hard to get that merry-go-round spinning. But once it's spinning, it's very easy to keep it spinning. All you got to do is tap it every once in a while. All of us have to be willing to get the merry-go-round spinning. And you're going to do that through a whatever it takes kind of mentality. It's going to be either working with your friends and family, your sphere, using the script that Debbie taught me, which was just out of curiosity, do you or your friends or your family have any real estate related plans this year? Have you thought of buying, selling, or investing in real estate? Like having those conversations with people we know. It's going to come from getting belly to belly with consumers, which we do through door knocking or through open houses or through networking events. That's usually done to people we don't know. It's done through picking up the phone and calling people that we don't know that have a high propensity to sell. These are things like canceled, expireds, FSBOs, notice of defaults, notice of trustee sales, vacant homes. By the way, everybody, you can get all that type of data from landvoice.com. You can bundle it. You can get all the things you need. You have all the people you ever need to call just right from them. That's what our team uses. And then you can reach out and talk to those people about getting their home on the market. Those are three really easy sources.
Yep.
You want to spend money instead of do work, you can buy internet leads. Like you can go out there and just invest money and get leads coming in from pay-per-click or Facebook ads or any of that sort of stuff. You can sign up for things where you have to pay a referral fee on there. You can do networking events, geographic farming, call, cancel, expire, or call probate attorneys, or do REOs or short sales. But when you think about where real estate business really comes from, it's sphere, open houses, prospecting, and internet leads. That is 80% of every transaction that a real estate agent works with. I put past clients in with the sphere bucket. So each one of us need to decide, how are we going to fill those 2 or 3 hours a day that we're going to consider work with one of those buckets?
You know, Ben, I feel like there's a lot of pinned up demand in the sphere because rates have been higher. So they were stuck there, with their 3% interest rate. I've been through that kind of market before where the sphere did not move. There were a couple of years they just did not move. But then all of a sudden it broke loose, and it was like the floodgates opened. I remember 1 month taking 20 listings from Sphere calling me when those floodgates open. So Ben, you're always studying the market. There's a lot of crazy stuff going on, and I know none of us have a crystal ball, but what do you think is ahead of us for the next 2, 3, 4 months, and how will that possibly impact the Sphere being ready to make those moves up that they've potentially been waiting to do?
Yeah, I think most all of you on the call know that the 30-year fixed mortgage rate is tied to the 10-year treasury. And the 10-year treasury, let's say it sits at 4.25% today, ish. For the last 10 years, Fred, the 30-year fixed mortgage has been 1.5 to 1.75% above the 10-year treasury.
Yep.
And for the last year or 2 years, it's been 2.5%, 3% above the 10-year treasury.
Yep.
We're in this kind of artificial market where 30-year fixed mortgage rates should be in the high fives, because 1.75% plus 4.25 or 4% puts us right at 6 or 5.9. But we already should be in the mid-5 interest rate environment. I believe that the Fed will eventually reduce rates this year, which will drop us even lower. So if we can get the market to calm down a bit, I would say that by the end of this year, we have mortgage rates in the fives. That is a very healthy interest rate. When I got my very first property 20 something years ago, my lender said, you're never going to get a loan lower than 5.5% that I'm offering you today. I've never seen it. You're never going to see it again. It's the best rate you'll ever see. We need to get comfortable that a good interest rate is in the fives. That'll compel a lot of people that we know to make a moving decision. So I think that it's in our best interests to start creating a list of people that you would call your would sell list. These are a list of people that would sell if rates dropped, they found a suitable replacement.
Yep.
Right? Whatever these conditions are that they give you, so that you start building up that future pipeline and staying in touch with them and say, hey, rates are getting really close. Or here's a couple of options that you could look at. You can start building up this cool pipeline because there's a pent-up demand. And we know that, Deb, because for the last, I don't know, 15 plus years, the average amount of homes sold per year was 5.5 to 6.5 million homes. Outside of 2008, we've always been in that range, but for the last 2 years, we've been at 3.9 to 4.1 million annual home transactions. It's artificially low. It's not like there's less people in the United States right now. It's a bunch of people that say, I can't afford or I don't want to change where I'm at. They need some motivation. That motivation will change and we'll get back to the 5.5 million annual transactions in the near future. So I'm super optimistic and excited.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean this economy is not going to be hard on other businesses, especially people that are affected by tariffs or by other kind of economic impacts. But real estate isn't always directly correlated with that.
Yeah.
Like it could be bad for real estate like us the last couple of years and good for everybody else, which it was. During COVID, it was bad for everybody else and good for real estate. I think we're coming into another one of these situations where real estate's going to do pretty good for a couple of years, and maybe some other businesses are going to have some struggles.
Yeah, I can see that.
So Fred, as Ben's talking about this, where my mind goes is it's really important now to be talking to all of your past clients in Sphere.
Yeah.
And finding out what are their real estate related plans for the future.
Yeah.
But I know there's a lot of baggage in people's minds about calling the Sphere. I don't want to bother them. I don't want to seem pushy. Hopefully it won't be the excuse of I don't know what to say, because now today they know what to say.
Yeah.
How do you help the agents you coach overcome that mindset that, hey, won't they just call me if they need me?
So I'll go back to what I said to people yesterday. I said that everybody here has a database of homeowners in their local market. They said, yes, Sphere, past client, they all raised their hand. And every time I asked that question, they raised their hand. I said, number two, do you think that there's other talented agents like myself who's scripted and aggressive in a respectful way that's in that same market that might be door knocking that house, flattering that house, calling that house, posting on social media? They're like, yes. And I'm like, if I get them in my CRM in Brivity and I follow up for 12 months and I send them market reports and value, but you haven't contacted them in 12 months, do you think there's an opportunity that I can earn that relationship and they'll list with me rather than you? They said, yes. So I said, if you're not calling your Sphere and past clients, somebody else is. And I also said, if you think that you're the only real estate agent in their social media, in your market, you're tripping. There's probably 5 to 8 agents posting about just listeds, just solds, Instagram lives that they're seeing and taking their mind share. So you got to give them a call. The second thing is, that's the mindset part. When you call them, it's not rocket science, right? You call with the Ford script, which is talk about their family, the occupation, the recreation, their dreams. Check in personally. Number two, you use Ben's script, which is what are your real estate related plans, Debbie, over the next 12 months that I can help with. And number three, here's an update on the market. Here's where inventory is. Here's where rates is, because you got to be the real estate economist of choice and provide value in that dialogue. And then last but not least, when you do those things, then you've earned the right to ask them, who do they know that I should know thinking about buying, selling, or investing in real estate? So when you get your mind right, that if you don't call your people, Fred said's going to call them in Southern California, and I'll get them, right? but I don't deserve those people. You should deserve those people. There's abundant amount of business to go around, but nobody else should work your sphere and past clients other than you, because you spend years building those relationships. But you got to call.
Think about this, Fred. Did you see that Rocket bought Redfin?
Redfin? Yeah.
You see that Rocket bought Mr. Cooper?
Yep.
If those deals get approved, they will control 1 out of every 6 mortgages in America. So take your database,
Yep.
right? Divide it by 6. That's the amount of people that are going to consistently be getting marketed by Mr. Cooper and Redfin to, when they have a question about their real estate, to not call their agent, but to call them. You already get it in your mail when you open up a Mr. Cooper mortgage statement. They're gonna aggressively go after staying in relationship with our customers. We should probably get ahead of that. All of our clients should be on market reports, getting updates about what's active, pending, and sold in their area. All of our people should be getting handwritten cards written by robots from like ink.com or one of those kind of products. All of our people should be getting phone calls. All of our people should be getting invited to 3 or 4 events that you can do a year to get face-to-face with people that don't cost a ton of money, but create a lot of value. Like, think about, how are you going to be the person that they think of whenever they think of their house, and touch them in all the possible ways.
So you talk about being a market expert. Yeah. I find that sometimes people say, I don't really know what to say about the market because I don't know how to predict it. You know, there's an awesome product. I know many of you use it, Area Pro, and it's phenomenal because
game changer.
You can go in and, Fred, tell them some of the things like, and they may want to check it out because, man, I don't care if you're a brand new agent. Yeah. You can go into Area Pro, you can show up at your open house, and you can sound like you've been in the business 30 years.
I'll tell you the one thing that we use it for consistently, and there's so many bells and whistles, but I like the KISS method, which is keep it simple, stupid, because I'm not a smart cat, right? So for me, I look at Area Pro and I say, okay, if we're taking a listing in this part of LA, Orange County, wherever we're going, or we've listed a home and we're on the market for 2-3 weeks, I want to go in and I want to see, okay, in this zip code, in this city, or in this county, what are the number of active listings? What are the average days on market? What's the sales price versus list price ratio? I mean, of course, I can do all these things manual in the MLS, but I want to press a button and go to Irvine, California and say, okay, this property in 92620, I'm listing, what are the data? Because number one, it helps me be better prepared for the listing appointment. So I'm that much more skilled and valuable to the homeowner to choose me rather than my competition. And number two, when I'm going after price reductions, because in our market, not everything is moving quick, I have to have facts to justify. And I'm not going to spend 5 hours downloading stats from the MLS and putting it on a presentation. I'm going to bust out my laptop in front of them or share my screen on the Zoom. I'm going to say, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, here's what's going on. Here's where our problem is on price. We had a shot at it. We went at it for 28 days, but like I told you, the presentation, we have to reduce the price by 4%. Here's the reason why. I'm going to send you the agreement to reduce the price tonight.
Well, look at this. Let's just like put the visual aid in there. This is Area Pro, everybody. I have an account built by my friends Mike Hicks and Sean in Idaho Falls. Super cool guys. But you just type in what you want. I like to use the word please because I grew up watching Terminator, and at some point I'll be working for this AI or the robot. So I always plight to AI. It's a life rule. Please help me create a script to use in a video to convince a seller to sell in 98225.
Legit.
Puts it out right there. Creates it. All right, now please turn this into an email. Puts it into an email.
That's amazing.
Please create bullet points.
So good.
Make it a full video script. Hi, I'm Ben Kinney with Area Pro. Today I wanted to share why today's an excellent time to sell your home in 98225. It even says to pause, shift tone. Right now, see my tone shift? Right now, homes in our neighborhood are selling fast. On average, in just 51 days. Like, think about this. Technology is not going to replace us. They're going to make us better. Whether you're a real estate agent, or you're a loan officer at Envoy Mortgage, or you're a title person, or you're in home services, it's going to make us better. We should be using technology like this to sound really, really smart. If you don't want to look at it like and talk like AI, we can just look at it in charts and see what's going on in your neighborhood.
Mm-hmm.
I can look at it in grid view and dive in. I was meeting with a builder 2 days ago. We're listing 40 homes for him, and I said, "Hey, just out of curiosity, what are your homes currently listing for in your development?" He's like, between 500 and 600. I said, "Great. Let me pull this up right now and show you what's going on in each one of those segments." He was like uber impressed. He's like,
Yeah.
"I've been begging agents to give me data. Like, can I get access to this?" If you list with me, you can. Right? Because we have this type of technology able to help our sellers make the right decisions for their business.
That's awesome.
Ben, years ago, a broker had me conduct focus groups with groups of home buyers, and we asked all sorts of questions. And one of them was, why did you choose the agent you chose? And they said it in different words, but almost 100% of the time, they said, because they were the market expert. That's what it distilled down to. They knew the market. They could help me, best as possible, time the market, strategize my offer. And, when you think about something like Area Pro, sure, other agents could access and utilize that tool. How many actually do? Or use it in what I think of as a sexy way. And someone was telling me, Fred, they were at a family gathering, a big party.
Yeah.
Someone said, how's the market? They said, well, let's check out, your zip code. They pulled it up on Area Pro. He said, before you know it, I have like 20 people around me. Check my zip code. He said, my wife is like, this is so annoying. Everywhere you go, you're giving a seminar, right? Which is an awesome thing.
That's
But
cool.
then you went through a minute ago a whole list of different types of activities. And I think that's where sometimes people get stuck. They maybe only do one or two things, and it's not enough. Or they think they need to do 10 or 20. But, we often talk about, like 5 good lead generation pillars. So anything else you want to share on that, Ben?
No, I think you can come up with 5 sources of sellers and 5 sources of buyers. Mm-hmm. And then you can come up with a marketing plan to focus on that. And it's not uberly complicated, and it's not super expensive, and you don't have to invest enormous amounts of money or hire a bunch of staff. Like, those sources are clear. All you're going to need is, where do I find them? What do I say to them? How do I follow up with them? Right? If you get that figured out, it's actually really easy.
On the what do you say to them? And you mentioned mortgage and Envoy Mortgage. In fact, Fred and I were talking this morning. I had an email from the lender that was my lender when I got into the business at 18. And I really considered him a partner because I didn't really know what he was doing, and he helped me. And I think it's super critical right now to have a great mortgage partner. And Envoy Mortgage has some incredible products that, yep, while it might not be necessarily all about them buying a home, it's things you could go to them and talk about that would be of value to that homeowner or potentially their friends and family. So make sure you have a really awesome mortgage partner. We have lots of the great LOs from Envoy here today, and I know they'd be happy to chat with you about some of those products. But that's a really important piece of your knowledge. And you don't have to be a super expert. You just have to know enough from your mortgage partner to be able to then go and talk about it and then deliver them back to that relationship. Because Ben, when you have that partnership, then that partner is not referring them away to other agents, right? That might happen to be one of their partners.
Yeah, I think when you ever had somebody that called you, but only when they wanted something for themselves, and they would start off and say, "Well, how are you doing?" But then they immediately go into whatever bullshit they needed for themselves.
Well,
I think we have to be conscientious about that in our industry, that we provide way more value than we ever ask for in return. And knowing that the average person is going to move every 8 to 12 years, what is the value that we can provide to people in the middle? I think it's talking to them about refinancing, finding a lender partner that would reduce those costs, talk to them about improving their home, fixing that air conditioner or that roof or whatever issue that they might have, getting the lowest possible bids, getting multiple opinions on those things, helping them make decisions on where they should invest in real estate and should or invest at all. So maybe it's not all in the stock market. When we provide that type of value, they think of us not just when they want to buy and sell, they think of us whenever they think of their home, which is what we want. We want to be the person that comes to mind whenever they think of their house.
Yeah, I agree.
So, guys, in our last few minutes here, and I want to let each of you say sort of your final thoughts. I wanted to say, be specific. And what I mean by that is, Fred, if we look at your agents and the challenge, they know what time they're showing up. They're doing their scripts and their role play. They know what time they're doing their dials. They know what days and times they're doing their open house. So it would be one thing to say, I'm going to do a better job calling my sphere. But that's not an action plan. No. An action plan is very specific. That might be, hey, at 9:00, I'm going to talk to 5 people in my past client and sphere. This is the conversation I'm going to have. This is what I'm going to do to follow up. Like, it needs to be so specific that someone can hold you accountable. Now, if you need someone to hold you accountable, if you need a strategic partner to help you figure out your 5 lead gen levers, then obviously, here at Forward Coaching, we would love to help you with that. And you can always reach out to me and we'll have a conversation about what that is you need support in. And then, Fred, your event, I know some of them may not be able to fly in to join us, but if they're local enough or they might be able to join, can you tell them about that?
Yeah, I will. I'm going to share my screen if that's cool with you guys. I'm going to tell you guys a little bit something about this. So a couple of years ago, we started this mastermind called $1 Billion Masterminds. I wanted to do it because I wanted to follow my brother and my mentor, Ben Kinney, when he did Ben Kinney training years ago. And he just provided value like we talked about for years and years. And that's how I met Ben. And I want to do the same thing for agents in Southern California. Debbie and I are both located in Southern California. And it started to grow into something bigger. And this is the 4th time we're doing it in a couple of weeks. And we come from contribution. Every one of these speakers that are coming in, some you may recognize, on average, they do over $1 billion a year in annual sales volume. And some are local, some are executives. They come from all walks of life. Debbie's there, I'm there, a lot of our partners are there. And it's a one-day event that we're doing here in Southern California. And for us, it's about contributing in every aspect of what we're going to do. And the theme for that day is domination. How to dominate with your business, your sales, your mindset, your health, your wealth, your time, and how we can encourage everybody to be able to come together and do that. I know Debbie and I have done this multiple times. It's going to be a great event. Like I said, if you can come to Southern California, that would be good. But the main thing that I'm going to talk about that day is facilitating between these experts on how they're crushing it right now, how they've been crushing it, and how they will continue. Some are solo agents, some are administrative staff, some are team owners. But the main thing is that we just have to level up the talent in our markets, and we have to help each other grow. There's no other way. We have to continue to support each other. So we're having that event that day. I got a QR code that I'm going to share with you guys once Ben's talking. And if you guys can make it, that would be great. And we'll make sure to send a link along with the recording when we email it out to all the registered people.
Well, Fred, what I love about your variety of guests is there truly is something for everyone. You know, here at Forward, our passion is the custom coaching because none of you are exactly alike and your markets are not alike. And the types of activities you're likely to do may be different, but there's a path for success for everyone. So whatever guests they identify with, I know they're going to have great takeaways. So, Ben, any last thoughts to wrap us up with?
Oh, no, I appreciate you all being here today. I hope you take action, realize there's a compounding effect, and we hope you see you at the mastermind next week. It'd be awesome if you all can make it.
Yeah. Well, be good.
Guys, well, thank you. Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
With our tech difficulties, we appreciate you guys. Thank you for being here. We will see you soon.